My early production setup and how it evolved. I started my production career, to kind of take it a little bit further back. The way my whole hip-hop situation was, is I started as a b-boy, and then it kind of evolved into MCing, and then from MCing I got tired of trying to rhyme over instrumentals, so I was trying to kind of make beats, and I didn't have any equipment, and I was just a little kid, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was literally like 11, 12 years old, so I used pause tapes. So pause tapes, if you don't know what pause tapes are, that's when you take a dual cassette deck, 2 cassette tapes, and you have a blank on one side and like a beat on the other side, like an instrumental. You know what I mean? And what you'll do is you'll hit record and pause and get it ready on your blank. And then on the beat, you hit play and you hold pause down. And as soon as it gets to the part you want to actually start recording, you unpause it. And then it records that, and then you pause it again. Then you rewind it back, and then it comes again. You unpause it, and you pause it again. You rewind it back. So I would do that. And it started me just making, taking instrumental, hip-hop instrumentals and making them like 3 minutes long so we could rhyme to them. But then I actually started going and finding cassette tapes of like samples, you know what I mean? And what I would do is I would loop that sample up with the pause tape, and then we would try to construct a song out of it, which was kind of cool. And then eventually I saved up enough money and I got a drum machine. I got this drum machine called the Yamaha RY30, which had pretty whack sounds, but at the time I liked it. And then I knew to take it to the next level, I was actually going to have to get samples. So I bought a rack unit sampler called a PV. I think it was an SP, I think. Anyways, it had this little rack unit sampler. And then what I needed is like a keyboard to trigger the samples. And I didn't really know what MIDI was, but I read about it in the manual and I was like, okay, I need a MIDI keyboard. So I went to a pawn shop and I found this little jacked up keyboard that had MIDI, but it was so jacked up, like it literally had dedicated buttons on the top. And the buttons, like, the buttons that had the sound effects, like the rooster and the gunshot and like the damn ambulance. So I could be like triggering samples and then go, not that I would do it, but I could. And then so I was doing that. I'd play the drum machine and then I would play the samples, but I didn't know how to make them match. I had no idea. So what I would do is I'd play all the samples live. So I'd play the drum machine, and the drum machine would be like boom, 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 and I started going and playing my chops live. And I would play that whole thing live and record it to a cassette. And then somebody put me onto a 4-track. So then what I would do is I got a 4-track, a little Tascam 4-track, and I would do that whole live setup on one track. And then I would rewind it, and I would play other samples live. So all my early beats were constructed live because I had no idea how to sync it up at all. And then, so essentially, after doing all that, I went out to like my homeboy's house. When I came back, my house was broken into and they stole all my gear, which sucked, right? But I was living in my grandmother's house, you know what I'm saying? I was young, and I was staying with her, helping her out, and her homeowner's insurance covered all my gear. So even though somebody jacked me, and I had no idea who it was, and I wanted to get them, but I couldn't, I did get money.
You just did that on camera.
I don't care. That's how it was. But at the time, I mean, come on now. If all your gear gets stolen, so anyways.
It was just a joke. Doing that on camera is not that bad.
Okay. What about both of them?
It's not a real gun.
But anyways, so with the insurance money, I actually had enough money to buy SP1200. So I bought an SP1200. And I had it for only a week because I ended up not liking it. I know it's classic and everything, but the fact that you can only put 2.5 seconds on each pad kind of sucked. And yes, I know the trick. You speed up the sample real fast on the record, you get more sample time, and then you slow it down with the pitch. But I wasn't really feeling it, especially because they had the MPC out at that point. So I took it back, and I actually bought my MPC 3000. And that was my absolute baby. Like, I love that thing. And it's funny because I bought it in Fort Lauderdale. Yeah, it was Fort Lauderdale, and it was in a Sam Ash, and the Sam Ash is on Sample Road. You know what I mean? Which is crazy. That's where you buy a sampler, on Sample Road. And to this day, like, I named folder Sample Road based off where I bought my MPC 3000. So I used that for like years and years and years, and it brought my production to a different level, like completely. And it's funny to think that I never made a beat on a computer for like years and years and years. It was all gear, you know what I mean? Like, it's hard to understand now, not using computers and not dumping the Pro Tools, but it was all, gear. And eventually, you know, after I started teaching at Full Sail, I really started getting into like computer production as well, and using, you know, MIDI triggers and everything, and tapping pads. And now you can get like the MPK 49 and everything, and have MPC, virtual MPC, and all that good stuff. So I do a lot of, you know, computer stuff now. I still have my 3000, but now I have an MPC 1000 as well that I use for mostly stage. You know what I mean? So I could tap out drums and perform and cut. You know, I have my, obviously I have my turntables, my 1200s, and I have a rain mixer, so I can and all that good stuff. But that is kind of like the progression, production wise, for me, gear, as far as gear goes. Word. You know what I'm saying?
Some of my favorite songs on the album. That's a super hard question, and not only because like I'm my own biggest critic. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know how Temp. Well, I know how Temp feels, but I don't know how he's gonna answer the question. But what I'm trying to say is, like 9 times out of 10, like I'll write 10 rhymes and I won't like 10 of them. You know what I'm saying? And I'll go over to Temp's house to record, and we'll have a session, or we'll just get up to Poly, and then you know, it'll be him telling me, no, that works. Like I'll come over with the verses that I have prepared for, you know, whatever song we're working on at the moment, and I won't be happy with him, and he'll tell me, no, that's all right. So I'll stick with him. You know what I mean? And I trust his judgment. And long story short, it's hard for me to get into my own stuff like that, especially because I spend a lot of time comparing it to my influences and what I grew up listening to and what I listen to now, and I try to I'm always comparing, which I don't know if it's the greatest thing in the world to do, but that's why it makes the question hard. Now, if I had to answer that, I like Same Old Story. Same Old Story is a good it's a good song in my eyes. Production wise, I like every single song on the album. Same Old Story specifically, I like it lyrically. I think my flow could have been a lot better, but lyrically I think it's very fresh. Cause and Effect is a good one. Cause and Effect,
I really like Cause and Effect. I like Strange Times a lot.
Strange Times.
I like Strange Times. I don't know why. It's just really dope to me personally. Anytime you can have a Ghostface scratch as your hook is really dope.
Yeah.
And I really like the beat, and I kind of like the bass line that I did. Whatever.
Right.
You know how it is. You like your own production, but you know, who knows who else is gonna like it. I thought Adam's rhymes came off real dope. So
yeah,
that's one I like. I really like Breathe. He won't mention it probably, but Breathe to me is really fresh because of the vibe. And Breathe is the joint that's about Adam growing up without a father. You know, that's like kind of like he's putting it all out there. And you'll have to go on the internets and buy our album so you can hear it. But
Fifth Element.
Yeah, buy it off Fifth Element for real.
Fifth Element online.
But I like that song because that's a song that if we perform that song, like we perform that song on tour, like all over the place. And you got people like breaking down over that song. Like Adam's rhymes are so strong. Like beat wise, it's cool, whatever. I'm a fan of the beat, but like Adam's rhymes, so many people identify with like not having that dad there kind of situation that like they just be breaking down. I mean, we've had people come up in tears, like literally in tears, up like Adam just told their story. You know what I mean? And isn't that what you want out of music? You know what I mean? You don't want that?
I hate making.
I don't mean the crying aspect. I mean the people identifying with it.
Yeah,
you know?
and that's
like, isn't that what we're trying to do?
Right, absolutely.
And
that's exactly what we're trying to do.
You know, it's not. I'm not saying crying.
I
don't mean like. I mean just like kind of getting bitch twinkles. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Okay.
Trademark.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Bitch twinkles. You know, shiny eyes when you're about to break down and
get that knot in your throat.
Yeah.
So, Adam, break down like the what the song means to you and like why you wrote it.
Well, I mean, we disagree on this particular night, but the night that we were recording over at Temp's crib.
You talking about that night when I made that beat and I loved it?
He gave me this beat. He didn't make it. See, what happens is I go over to Temp's house all the time and I'll be like, let me hear some new beats, and he'll say, I've been busy, I haven't made anything new. But every single time, without fail, if it's 100 times that we've done it, we've gone over to his house to record, then it's 100 times I've heard a brand new beat. He's always got some beat that I haven't heard somewhere. that night it happened to be the beat for Breathe, and he didn't like it and he didn't want to use it, but I was like, no, let me get it. And he gave it to me, and the direction that I wanted to go with that particular beat at the time, it went in a different direction by the time I got back to the house. I do most of my writing in the car. I'll just let the beat play. I write everything in my head, and by the time I got home, I had some bars. I had like maybe 2 or 3 bars like that was pertaining to my father, and I was like, oh man, this might be a good direction to go in. And I wrote the entire song, the first 2 verses, because there's a 3rd verse that we never performed, but it's on the album. But I wrote the first 2 verses that night, and the first verse is just me breaking down like the whole situation of like not understanding as a child and growing up without my father there. And then the 2nd verse is more like dedicated to my mom, but it almost attacks my father in a sense, but that's only because I'm very defensive when it comes to my mother. And I would expect most people to be when it comes to their mom. You know what I'm saying?
It's your mom.
It's your mom. But you know, being that I'm so close with my mom, like it comes off kind of harsh, and just me letting my dad know like this is what happened. You know what I'm saying? This is what you did. This is how I feel about it. And then the 3rd verse is kind of like an acceptance of like, just if he ever were to hear the song, basically just letting him know like, listen, like that's how I felt. This is what happened, but I don't want you to know like it doesn't change anything. Like at the end of the day, I still think you're a cool cat. Like I actually get along with my dad. It's just that, you know, I never see him, and I never got to see him that much growing up, and he had no impact or influence on my life. So that's all like what Breathe stems from. And like myself and like Jay and like a lot of other, you know, I say fortunate, but you know, you could also say less fortunate people. Like there's a lot of single moms doing the right thing out there, like our moms were doing, and I was raised by a single mother. So that's kind of my take on that whole song.
Yeah, and that's the reason why I like that song too, because like I've never to this day even met my biological father, so like I can't relate to like waiting for my dad to come home necessarily like Adam did, because so I'm probably more fortunate because I was just like, you know, I wasn't worried about it. But
and I mentioned that in the 3rd verse.
Yeah,
like I mentioned that Temp never met his dad.
But that's why I like it though. I like, you know, I just because, you know, growing up, like all of my homeboys, the dads were gone. Like this is how it was.
That's just how it was.
I don't know if that reflects America or whatever.
I don't know.
But like literally, if I had like 20 friends standing there, like 17 of them did not have a dad in the house. It was all moms.
Yeah. And then the 2 that had dads that like went to football practice and stuff, you're like, oh, lucky. Lucky. God, you got a dad in there? Let me see him.
So what is that? Let me see him.
Show him to me.
So future goals and plans for Gray Matter. One of the things is we're already working on our next album. We're about 8 songs into it already, so we're trying to get that out by the end of the year. We're really looking forward to that. Like, I don't know how you feel, but I'm super amped about this next album. Like, I'm really ready for that to come out. Goals, more goals. Like, what else?
Getting the album out, like Temp was saying. I would like to do a lot more shows, preferably outside of Florida. You know what I mean? More tours, possibly going overseas, Europe, Asia, wherever we could go. You know what I'm saying? Wherever would be accepting of bringing us out there and like rock. I see other cats go out there and rock, and I just feel like we would also have something that we could bring to the table in these different places. Definitely a lot more shows.
Yeah, it would be fresh.
A lot more music.
What back to the shows thing too is the Soloquist of Sound took us on tour with them.
First tour.
First tour.
07.
That was 07. It was like a 40-city tour.
Yeah.
And we had so much fun. I couldn't go on the whole thing because I was working. Adam got to go on the entire thing. Very, very dope. You know, allowed us to perform in places that I've always dreamed about performing. You know what I'm saying? Like New York, like where it was born. Like LA, you know, San Francisco, like all these places. And so it'd be really dope to get on another tour. You know what I mean? Maybe
that'd be cool.
Find an artist and just go on tour with them. I don't know.
What if Hennessy wanted us
then I'd like to go on tour.
Would you go on that tour?
Yes.
Like if they did some like
Why not?
rappers support Hennessy
Yes, Hennessy.
and Heineken?
As long as they had like a whole table full of it right there for me to drink while I was on my MPC.
I drink it from time to time when I can
So I don't know why
afford
you're advertising Hennessy right now though.
I was just asking.
But it's delicious. So it is. It really is.
Nikes are very comfortable. I would also on a serious note, like back to like goals, like I think the most important thing is more fans. Like I would like to gain more fans. I would like more people to like or listen to or just know about in general the music.
More exposure to
right.
the music.
Because I grew up loving going to Camelot or Specs or
these are record stores.
or then when Best Buys came along, like every Tuesday I would be in these spots like checking to see what was out. And you know, that feeling of just going to get new music, or I would just like that for us as well, like people to be like, oh,
before it
Grey Matter
disappears.
stuff is out.
Yeah, before it disappears entirely, which is almost there.
Right.
Thanks to the internets.
But I mean, even on the internet, like you might see something floating around on the blog, and like if somebody was like, "Oh man, new Grey Matter stuff,"
You're right.
Right.
That's what I'm
You know
saying
what
in
I mean?
a different kind of way.
yeah, that would be real cool.
That
to
would
me.
be dope.
Because and that's, I mean, that's what it's for. When it's all said and done, like we do music for ourselves, but we do it hoping people will like it, and you know, people can relate to it, maybe take something from it, which would be even better. You know.
So
You know what a real goal is? A realistic goal? I would like to just continue. First of all, for my family to be healthy. As long as I can wake up and continue to breathe air, I'm straight. But musically, a realistic goal, I would like to find a way that I can continue to make money to support my family and the lifestyle that we have. Not anything out of the ordinary, just the lifestyle that my family needs, so I can make whatever kind of music I want, and then I don't have to worry about it, and it can really just be all about the music. Because see, what happens is you get certain people, and this is why I never get mad at hip-hop, because you get people that come from certain circumstances, same circumstances that we've come from, same circumstances that most of y'all have come from, and then they get into a position where they can make lots and lots and lots and lots of money off the music if the music goes in a certain direction. Well, and they do it. You know what I mean? And the music could end up being good or bad. That's in the, you know, beauty's in the eye of the beholder. But, you know, it would be cool is if I could make money doing something else. And then when you hear Grey Matter music, then it's all about the music. You know what I mean?
AKA, you would like to be able to make lots of money over here and not have to manipulate your music to make the money.
Right. I don't want to have to manipulate music to make the money. But hopefully what ends up happening is, you know,
the music will make...
we just turn into the Beatles.
Yeah.
Of 2010.
You need 2 more members.
Was there 4 people in the Beatles? I thought it was just
Ringo and
Paul
McCartney.
Ringo and Bono.
Was there more Beatles than that?
There's Bono.
Wasn't the guy a conductor
Sting,
on Thomas?
Sting.
John Mayer.
John Mayer was in the Beatles.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.